Okay, so this is ceremonies and rituals take two. You know, I don't know what people think when they see these titles because, no secrets are revealed. Those are your, those are your adventure, your spiritual adventure, trying to figure out everything, if that's the case. Or even if it's just little things. But ritual is really an interesting thing for your day-to-day struggles because sometimes your rituals don't really support the things you want to do. And I suggest if that's the case, to take about 10 minutes, 15 minutes and just pause because sometimes our day-to-day activities are just so overwhelming that there's no relief. And with the situation that's going on now in our country, in the United States, let's say, with this pandemic, we should realize that this is a natural event, and these events we wait for. Every time I get started, my nose itches. Every time I start these things, my nose starts itching, and I apologize for going up and scratching it during a pandemic. This is terrible. Anyway, some of the things that I realized in my day-to-day rituals were that how do you make those things work in a day-to-day world? And sometimes they just don't. And that's unfortunate that there's not space given for you to meditate or do yoga, or if that's the case in your workspace, you're really lucky, and utilize those times because sometimes just slowing down is all it takes to conquer a problem. So think about that. Rituals, ceremonies now. Ceremonies are a wonderful thing, and I look at the ceremonies as, summer, fall, winter, and spring. That's what I see the ceremony as. And how do we unfold those? We wait and participate in those things. Now, if you're looking for me to give you a diagram or to give you some kind of a program, I won't do that, because it's up to you to understand your relationship to whatever it is, whether you call it the God, or the universe, the earth. Think about this for a second as we explore the universe going out. Think about this for a second. If you leave the planet and you're on your way to Mars, and as you're going to Mars, you meet a spaceship coming, and what are you going to do first? Are you going to try to convert those individuals to your religion, or are you going to actually sit down for a minute and have dialogue, or try to learn dialogue? Our religions and spiritual paths are our personal adventures, and those things are for you to be private about. But at the same time, in the great ceremony of history, what we have, remember you need to participate in them. And you can't say you went to Woodstock if you were born before then, Listen, spiritual adventure is just the most wonderful thing, and it will tie you in knots. But ceremonies are for you to untie your knots or bring your knots to the group. And it is about your participation. Now, I want to point out one thing is that I don't encourage people to go to tribes or go to reservations and go to ceremonies. I don't encourage that at all. Those are for those people on the reservation and their families. For us to be, invading their space it's rude and not. But it has been done and it's inappropriate. So. Ceremonies for non-Indians is a struggle. Where do you find your ceremonies? Well, you find them in church, or you find them in your school, or you find them in work. And for your heart, that may not be enough. So I encourage you to find others in the same passion groups that you have. Struggle as it may be to get friends in these days where it's all distance, social distancing, it's important to realize that we do share this planet, and in that try to share your passions to the point where you're not intruded or invaded. And that's what has happened to so many of the tribes. They've been invaded by outsiders, and there's sometimes not room enough for local people to. I got a mosquito here, and I don't like them. Sorry. I went fasting one time, and I was up in the Bighorns, and I was up fasting, and the flies. Well, it was. I just was young, and I was aggressive, and I wanted to fast in a certain place, and I went in there, and the mosquitoes and flies they would drive a person insane if it weren't for the fact that that's what the fasting is about. So I stayed and did it, but I don't like flies and I don't like mosquitoes. They tend to irritate me. Anyway, I'm going to try to put out one of these every week. I'll release the things on Saturday, and I hope you enjoy, listening to some of these stories. The idea isn't that I know anything, and it's not that anything special has happened. I'm just sharing things for the future, and if somebody's looking and finds some of this information and it's helpful, good. That's what it's about. And thank you for all of the people who are subscribing, and have a great day in August. Thank you. Bye.